What's up, guys? Here we are. Welcome to another episode of Radical Rock and Record Reviews with me, your host, Mick Watkins, bassist of Wild Ride. Mick Watkins, otherwise known as Dick Twatkins. And then today I'd like to do a quick video in honor of the 20th anniversary of one of my all-time favorite albums. An album that was very important to me when I was growing up as a teenager, when I was going through all my shit, going through high school and stuff. And I'm talking about 2 days ago was the 20th anniversary, and I was wanting to do a video on the release date, but you know what happens, life gets in the way. But nonetheless, here we are 2 days later, and I want to talk about an album that meant everything to me growing up. It hit me at the right perfect time. 15 years old, the year 2000, July 11th, 2000. One of my all-time favorite bands, Mötley Crüe, released an album that is, some people love it, some people think it's okay, some people think it's complete shit, but this album to me is awesome. Killer, not perfect, as we'll talk about later, but this album is one of my favorites by the band, and I just love it, and I still enjoy it 20 years later. I'm talking about, today we're going to talk about the 20th anniversary of Mötley Crüe's new tattoo. Check it out. Check this out. Now let's flash forward, or let's flash backward to 20 years ago. July 11th, summer of 2000. This album came out in, what was going on at the time was a cesspool of fucking new metal, dude. New metal. Rap rock, okay? Bands like Korn, Limp Bizkit, Papa Roach, Mudvayne, just Disturbed, Crazy Town, just all this nonsense, dude. And me as a young rocker, as a young metalhead, I just could not get into that stuff, guys. I could not get into it. I was not into the rapping. The bands didn't have solos. They didn't have the charisma. They weren't fucking rock stars like a band like Mötley Crüe. And coming out this album right here, New Tattoo, saved the day for me, guys. This was my salvation in a sea of shit known as new metal. Okay? And honestly, this was the first time since probably, 1991, Decade of Decadence, when Mötley Crüe did Primal Scream, Angela, those songs like that. 1991's Decade of Decadence. The first time since then where Mötley Crüe actually sounded like classic Mötley Crüe right here. Because, you know, after that, vinceneil left the band. Corabi comes in, John Corabi comes in, and they record 1994's insanely classic, a great album, Mötley Crüe. But even then, that album didn't really sound like Mötley Crüe. It had it was a darker album, a more serious album. Kind of had a little bit of grunge influence. You could totally hear the mid-90s in that, with the grunge influence. And honestly, I hear quite a bit of Pantera influence in that. But honestly, in '94, who wasn't influenced by Pantera? They were the kings. They were the leaders then. And then after that, okay, Corabi's out. '97 rolls around. Generation Swine comes out, an album that is totally fucking shit on by most people, that I absolutely love, because that was my entrance point to the band. Summer of '97, that was whenever I got into Mötley. vinceneil's back. You have the classic lineup of Mötley, but still, though, they're still wanting to go with the trends a little bit, trying to fit into the '90s music scene, rock music scene, and they're going with a more industrial, dark sound, trying to be like Marilyn Manson, 9 Inch Nails, White Zombie, that kind of vibe. Then the next release, the Greatest Hits album, '98, 2 new songs, Bitter Pill, Enslaved. That was kind of like Mötley still trying to get close to their old school sound, that original Mötley Crüe sound, with Bitter Pill and Enslaved. It was still had a little bit of the Generation Swine era style, but it was Mötley Crüe getting back to that classic sound. After that, we know what happens. Tommy Lee, of course, who I have to say is probably my all-time favorite drummer. But the dude, like I said before, my Mötley Crüe ranking video, he's a little bit of a trend-chasing bitch boy. I hate to say it, Tommy, I love you. Dude, the trendy shit, dude. So Tommy Lee grows out his dreadlocks, gets dreadlocks, and he quits Mötley Crüe in the summer of '99 because he wanted to be a rapper and performing Methods of Mayhem and get naked and all that shit. So what does Mötley do? Nikkisixx, vinceneil, mickmars, they, with the help of Sharon Osbourne, believe it or not, they actually recruited former Ozzy Osbourne drummer Randy Castillo. Did a tour with the Scorpions, summer of '99. I remember that well. And then 1 year later, July 11, 2000, they crafted, in my opinion, like I said earlier, this album's not perfect. It's not perfect. But they crafted, in my opinion, a classic sounding, kick-ass, balls to the wall, nipple twisting Mötley Crüe classic sounding album in New Tattoo, guys. New Tattoo. And I remember the first time I seen Mötley Crüe with Castillo on drums, with Randy Castillo on drums. It was one night, I remember, it was probably in the fall of '99. I just gotten home from a friend's birthday party in high school, and I got home and I was slipping through the channels. I stopped on VH1. It was late at night, and I remember VH1 was doing back then the Hard Rock Live Presents live concerts, and it was Mötley Crüe. And I flipped out, I got my VHS tape, threw it in the VCR and recorded it, and I was like, dude, that's the new Mötley Crüe drummer, that's Randy Castillo from Ozzy's band. And it was an awesome concert, which I still have on VHS. That was the first time I seen that lineup. And personally, I love that lineup. I'm curious to hell is what the lineup could have done with Nikkisixx, vinceneil, mickmars, and Randy Castillo. But nonetheless, things didn't play out, and we are where we are with the band today. But let's get into this, dude. New Tattoo. Now, like I said, this album is not perfect. Not perfect at all. It's got some clunkers. It's got, I think, 11 tracks on it. 11 tracks. And let's kick it off, dude. This album. July 11th. This album was produced by Guns N' Roses producer for Appetite for Destruction, Mike Clink. Mötley Crüe got Mike Clink. And I love the production on this album, dude. I think the production on this album smokes. And I swear, and in my opinion, Dick Watkins, Vases of Wild Ride, in my opinion, it is mickmars' best guitar tone. And mickmars does my favorite lead work of all the Mötley Crüe albums. To me, my personal opinion, I know you might disagree, probably most of you do disagree, but this is my favorite mickmars lead guitar work, dude. He smokes. Killer guitar tone, killer lead tone, killer rhythm tone. Just awesome. mickmars shines on us. To me, this is mickmars' album right here. But let's get into it, guys. Track number 1, Hellonhighheels. Hellonhighheels, my all-time favorite, my number 1 Mötley Crüe song. Check that out. I remember the day this came out. Well, let's flash back. I used to go to my best friend's house all the time. John Bon Joey, Joey Dildoey, Joseph Barnes. I would go to his house. And back then, I didn't have the internet. So I would always be like, dude, can I get on the computer? And he'd be like, yeah, you can get on the computer. So I'd go to motley.com, and I was always looking for updates on the new Crüe album. And finally, the day that it came out, me and him and my dad, I remember, took us to Circuit City. Remember that place? Circuit City. Love it. Fucking Circuit City, dude. Oh, I miss it. And we got this album, and I remember we rushed home to my dad's house. We threw that CD in the stereo. And, dude, I remember I absolutely loved Hellonhighheels. I remember I probably played that on repeat maybe 12 times before we would go to track 2. And I remember Joey Dildoey was like, dude, this is a good song, but man, I really want to hear the rest of the album. I was like, okay, fine. And I played it, fell in love with High Hills, my favorite Mötley Crüe song of all time, and absolutely my favorite mickmars guitar solo. Fucking rocks, dude. Track number 2, Treat Me Like the Dog I Am. Look, like I said earlier, this album's not perfect. One of the things to me that holds this album back is some of the lyrics. Some of the lyrics are a little cheeseball. Some of the lyrics are a little kind of stupid. I don't know, juvenile. But, dude, we're talking about Mötley Crüe. Okay, we're not talking about Rush. We're not talking about the Beatles. Mötley Crüe's not known for their lyrical genius. It's have fun, get crazy, good time, backseat rock and roll music. And with track number 2, Treat Me Like a Dog That I Am, you get that, dude. You get a fun Mötley Crüe song. Love that track. Shredded lead guitar from mickmars. Nicky's laying down the cool heavy bass. Vince Neil sounds great on this record. Sounds great on Treat Me Like the Dog That I Am. Track number 3, New Tattoo. My opinion, one of Motley Crue's best ballads and one of my favorite tracks on this record. Fucking great, dude. If this album would have came out in like 1990 or 1991, I believe that would have been a radio staple, dude. Just like Without You or Don't Go Away Mad. Title track would have been a big hit. Track number 3, New Tattoo. Coming in number 4, Drag Strip Superstar. Starts off with how Girls As Girls starts off with the motorbike starting to rev up. This starts off with a drag car getting ready to rev up and hit the fucking road. Great song, dude. I don't think the lyrics in that are cheesy. I think it's a very cool classic sounding Motley Crue song. Track number 5. Now this is where the album starts to make its first dip. Track number 5 is First Band on the Moon. And I know online and all the groups I'm in, all the friends I have, people slag the shit out of the song. And granted, it's ridiculous lyrics. It really is. But the song itself, musically, I love the song. If it had better lyrics, I think it would have been a much better song. But you know, First Band on the Moon. Even if we're out of tune, first band on the moon. It's got an awesome line in there. It says, I want a place that wants arena rock, along with the girls that want to suck my cock. You know, I totally get what Motley was saying. I totally get what Nicky was saying at the time. People weren't rock stars. You had all these fucking just rap rock, new metal bands. They just weren't cutting it, dude. Nobody wanted to party. No bands wanted to have fun anymore. No bands wanted to rock. They all just wanted to sit around and talk about being molested by their fathers and being depressed and woe is me and how shitty life was. No, not Motley. Motley Crue still wanted to party and fucking rock. And you know what? If Motley Crue would have been the first band on the moon, I would have taken a first class ticket on that fucking spaceship and I would have been on the moon with them. Not a perfect song, but I get the message and I'm totally behind it. Could use better lyrics though. Track number 6, She Needs Rock and Roll. Classic Motley Crue. I love it. Cool wah-wah style. Mickmars leads on this one. Cool lyrics about Motley Crue's corruption of a young chick. How Motley's music fucking corrupted all of us. We know it all too well. I think this song, track number 6, She Needs Rock and Roll, that would have fit perfectly with Primal Scream and the songs that came out in 91 on Decade of... But yeah, so we got track number 7, Punched in the Teeth by Love. Another great song, another kick-ass track. Some more cheesy, little cheeseball lyrics. And the song is totally a rip-off of that one song. Was it Four Horsemen? Rockin' is my business, business is good. Where Motley's version goes, punched in the teeth, teeth by love. Almost the same damn song. Like, first time I heard it in my dad's truck, I remember being like, oh yeah, totally rip off of the Four Horsemen, but nonetheless, pretty cool song, cheeseball lyrics, but another slaying, kick-ass, nipple-twisting lead guitar solo from my man Mickmars. There you go, track number 8, another great ballad that I remember back in the day when this album came out, when it was new. I remember reading on motley.com that the next single after Hellonhighheels was going to be Hollywood Ending, and they were planning a video for it. And I was fucking pumped. I was like, that'd be perfect. Such a great follow-up track, but sadly, I don't think this album sold well at all. And they were probably just like, what's the point? What's the point? Nobody's playing this shit on the radio. VH1 probably would have played the video, but it wouldn't have made it to like MTV or TRL or any of those bullshit countdowns. So I guess Motley was like, what's the point? But nonetheless, dude, fuck all that crap. Great song, Hollywood Ending rules. Awesome ballad. Track number 9. Track number 9. My second favorite track on this album behind Hellonhighheels is Fake. You're so fake. You're a dirty little bastard, fake. You're always so plastered. I think that Motley Crue wrote that song about Tommy Lee. You know what I mean? Because at the time, dude, and even now still, I love Tommy Lee. I love you, Tommy. My all-time favorite drummer. When Tommy wants to, he can be a solid-ass, great rock and roll drummer with tons of groove. But dude, he can be a little fake sometimes. He can be very trendy. You know, in the late 90s when he left Mötley Crüe, he was wanting to be Kid Rock. Now he wants to be like, I guess, the 56-year-old Post Malone. I don't know. I don't get it. But nonetheless, I love Tommy, and he's a great drummer, and Fake is a kick-ass song. Second best track on this album. If you have not heard Fake, turn that shit on, dude. Classic Mötley. You can't go wrong. Spent $1 million on amphetamines. Crashed a lot of cars. Fucked all the superstars in Hollywood like we could. 'Cause I'm so fake. Classic Mötley. I would love to hear them play that live, dude. Even with Tommy on drums. That'd be quite hilarious, actually. Okay. Coming up. Track number 10. This song is the worst song on the album, and I would put it right next to Brandon as possibly one of the worst Mötley Crüe songs in their whole discography. It's called Porno Star. It's, I mean, whenever I'm jamming this album in the car at home on my stereo, I'll fucking crank it. But I'm always like, dude, Mötley Crüe could have done better than that. Mötley Crüe. And the lyrics in this are dreadful. HTTP, I'm addicted to technology. Come on, Nikki. Dude, really. You're the same dude that wrote like Wild Side and fucking Live Wire and Red Hot. HTTP, I'm addicted to technology. That song should have been left on the cutting floor. And I'll tell you what, if you get this album as I think it's the Japan version or the the version that they put out in Europe, there is a incredible kick-ass song bonus track called Time Bomb. Why couldn't they have cut off Porno Star and put fucking Time Bomb on this album? Then we only would have had one shitty song, First Band on the Moon. Come on. Time Bomb should have been on this, not Porno Star. But I get it. We're Mötley Crüe. We like having sex with porn stars. I get it. They're trying to live up to the Mötley Crüe history and the legacy. I get what you're doing, but guys, poor excuse for a song. It sounds like some kind of Sum 41 bullshit. I don't know. But nonetheless, two shitty songs on a otherwise killer ass rockin' album. And the final track on it, a cover of The Tubes, White Punks on Dope, another song that sounds like classic Mötley. Classic riff. Totally sounds like Mötley Crüe could have wrote that. Totally sounds like mickmars could have wrote that riff. nikkisixx could have wrote that riff. Great song. White Punks on Dope. White Punks on Dope. Great stuff, man. And that's the ending of this killer record, guys. That has meant so much to me. This album got me through some rough times in high school. It was a soundtrack to many good times, to many great parties back then, and it still is right now, actually. Because right now I have this album in honor of its 20th anniversary cranking in my car. It's not perfect. It isn't, it's not the quality of Shout the Devil. It's not the quality of their first album, Too Fast for Love. And it's not even the quality of Theater of Pain, an album that a lot of people fucking hate that I absolutely love. But I'll tell you what, in this album nowadays, along with Mötley Crüe and Generation Swine, this album is ignored, dude. Like a couple days ago on its 20th anniversary, nikkisixx, Mötley Crüe, nobody even talked about this. Nobody even brought it up. And I find that a real shame. It's almost like they're ashamed of those three albums in the 90s and the 2000s with Mötley Crüe, Generation Swine, and this. Dude, no. These albums haven't even been released on vinyl. nikkisixx, if you see this video, or anybody that works for Mötley, the record label, whatever, this album deserves to be put on vinyl, reissued. Mötley Crüe deserves to be reissued, and Generation Swine needs to be reissued on vinyl, which I wouldn't mind if you would cut off Brandon and maybe put like Kiss the Sky or Wreck Me on it instead. But guys, if you haven't heard this and you're a hardcore Crüe head like me, a hardcore Mötley Crüe fanatic like I am, give this album a shot, dude. 2000s New Tattoo. Great. And you'll see that this is a solid ass album. And to me, so far, in my opinion, I mean, I love the music that they've made since this album. Sick Love Song, If I Die Tomorrow. Saints of Los Angeles is great. Even some of the newer songs from last year's Dirt soundtrack, Ride with the Devil, I fucking loved. To me, that sounded like it could have been off this album. The Dirt, even if it has a little rap on it, I can still dig that. Crash and Burn was cool. But still, though, to me, this is the last album Motley released. It truly, 100% sounds like classic Crüe, guys. It also came out around this time. Well, actually, it came out a year later, the summer of 2001, was the VHS release and the DVD release of this tour. And dude, I wore this motherfucker out too. Love this album, or love this video. Still do. I'm talking about released in the summer of 2001. I remember I bought it at Camelot Music at the mall. Talking about Lewd, Crude, and Tattooed, man. Check that out on VHS. Good stuff, man. It's got Kickstart My Heart, Same Old Situation, Primal Scream, Punched in the Teeth by Love, Dr. Feelgood, Home Sweet Home, Don't Go Away Mad, Just Go Away, Piece of Your Action, Wild Side, Hell on High Heels, Looks That Kill, Girls Those Girls, Livewire, White Punks on Dope, and Shout at the Devil. And it's got like behind the scenes cool footage of them in the studio making the album, of them getting ready on the road, jamming. It's got the music video for Hellonhighheels that Camp Chaos did. Remember that shit back then? Napster bad. Napster bad. I remember that when like Motley and Metallica were feuding because Metallica had the Napster's Bad video, and then Motley worked with them and was like, you know what? Fuck Napster. You can steal our songs for free. We don't give a shit. Even though Motley was totally wrong and Lars was right. Lars was totally right. But still, though, it was fun for back then. Yeah, it has that on there. Maximum Rock show, behind the scenes of Maximum Rock tour. And I remember back then I wanted to go to that concert so bad. I remember it came close to here, I think in like Indianapolis. But at the time I was 15 years old, couldn't drive myself. None of my friends were old enough. And my dad was not going to drive like an hour and a half away to go see Mötley Crüe. Which it was a great bill actually. It was Mötley Crüe and was it Megadeth on the Risk tour, which I know that's kind of fucked up. Hopefully they like played some of their older material. But yeah, it was Mötley Crüe, was Megadeth on the Risk tour, and Anthrax, which I'm not really that much of a fan of them, but nonetheless, it would have been a great tour to see. And of course, Randy Castillo got sick. He had an ulcer in his stomach, which ultimately turned out to be, cancer, and he passed away. So on this tour, on the tour of this, it was the whole drummer, Samantha Maloney, actually filled in, you know, and she's not as good as Randy, nowhere near as good as Tommy Lee, but nonetheless, she filled in pretty well. And I wish I could have seen that tour because it's supporting an album that I love so much. It's got great personal history with me, and it would have been a fun time to experience Mötley Crüe. So, you know, guys, that's it of the video. That's all I've got to say about Motley Crue New Tattoo 20th anniversary.